One evening, in March 2024, it started by drizzling in Kwaruben. I thought it would be normal rains. Little did I know that my thoughts would be deceiving me. To my surprise, the rains got heavier as time went by. The river broke its banks and the whole area started flooding. I thank God because all of us were indoors, my family and I. This reduced the panic of my loved ones being carried away by the flowing water. I was pregnant, to be precise, in my 3rd trimester, so most of the time I used to be indoors. Whenever it was about to rain, I used to be anxious and remorseful for my baby, since I knew the repercussions of stepping in cold, stinking water when heavily pregnant. The rains were pounding. I could hear the voices of my neighbors screaming, "Tusaidie! Tusaidie! Maji! Maji!" The screams hit me so hard, I had to see the events with my 2 naked eyes. I looked outside and saw the water flowing towards our house. It shocked me. I was agape. Within a twinkle of an eye, my house had flooded and household items like cooking pots and the table where I keep my gas were being submerged. My 6-year-old daughter was terrified and whispered to me, "Mommy, are we going to die?" I replied softly, "But God is under control." The only thing that was safe was my bed because my hubby had raised it using stones. We had tried to get the water out of the house. My hubby and son could not draw the water vigorously since otherwise they would become exhausted. I knew I had to help them. Everything was in a mess. We couldn't locate shoes. I had to dash in the cold water barefooted. We carried on trying to draw water out of the house for about 6 hours through the night. The electricity had vanished. It was completely dark. We were starving and freezing cold, but we couldn't stop. It was tedious and tiresome. I could not reach out for help because the entire neighborhood was sailing in the same boats. I could only rely on my hubby and 12-year-old son for help. The situation deteriorated because the sewer line had blocked. Suddenly, I realized that my blood pressure started fluctuating. I had a headache and I couldn't think straight. I knew it was blood pressure because I had felt it before in my previous pregnancy. I had lost a child. I could read the signs. I was anxious and I knew I had to calm down. I had to get to the hospital to get help, but would have to wait till the following day because there was flooding everywhere. Eventually we rested in the bed that my husband had raised. The next morning, it had stopped raining, and I was able to get to the hospital. It was quite some distance away. I took a matatu. When I got to the hospital, I went to the antenatal clinic and they saw me quickly because they knew my history. Some tests were conducted on me. A nurse came out and told me straight, "Millicent, you have to have an emergency cesarean section today." I was terrified. When I was young, I heard about people who had died having C-sections. I had not opted for this delivery method, but I was pressurized because my baby's life was at stake. But I didn't know if I was going to make it out alive. I only had a few things with me. I was so unprepared for this. They had to inject me full. It was like I was half dead. I thank God for the doctors who worked 24 hours around the clock to ensure that my baby and I were no longer in danger. My baby was delivered safely even though she was underweight and her skin was peeling off. If all the ones responsible would have unblocked the drains or played their roles, all this scenario could have been avoided. This is a wake-up call, and therefore I would urge the leaders in our community to get out of their slumber and do what is required of them. I highly appreciate my hubby who chipped in and changed the whole situation by raising our house a bit, it was low to get rid of this flooding issue inside our house. Even though the whole ordeal is bitter to swallow, I have come to realize that each and every one of us should be meticulous in terms of extreme weather events. I will always remember that fateful day because the flood almost robbed me of a third chance of being a mom. I look forward to scaling the heights of change together to wrest the issue of climate change.